I went to Catholic school from kindergarten through 8th grade, and it was on a park, and the park also, away from the park, there was a big hill that went down, ran along the river with railroad tracks on one side. When we went to school, we walked to school and we walked home from school, winter, spring, didn't matter. In the wintertime, we wore what they were called leggings, not like leggings the girls wear now, those little skinny things. These were polyester, and they had a little seam down the front, and they were god-awful looking, and I don't know that they were supposed to keep you warm, but they certainly did not. They also had a little piece of elastic on the bottom that fit around your foot to keep them in place. And then we wore our shoes, and we had what we called shoe boots. You put your foot inside the boot with your shoe on. Some people had boots that didn't have those. That was really exciting, but we didn't have those kind of boots. School would get out every day, and our route home was the same way as our route there. Down the main street, straight home. Wasn't quite 2 miles, I don't think it was, maybe 1.5 miles, if that. There was no, we weren't supposed to deviate from that trip. That's the way we went every day. Well, there was a really cool rope swing that was out behind the other Catholic school's convent in somebody's backyard. So we would go there sometimes and swing on that rope, but always careful to just get in and get out quick so we didn't get in any trouble. Well, this one day, a friend of mine named Bernhard asked me if I'd like to walk home from school with him. Now, Bernhard was not the best looking boy. I definitely wasn't the best looking girl. I had pretty funny looking teeth at the time. Crooked, one front tooth going this way and the other one's going that way. And Bernhard had blonde, scruffy hair and big ears that stuck out. But he asked me to walk home with him, and I said, great, I'm going to walk home with Bernhard Blondin. So Bernhard lived down at the bottom of the Wall Street Hill. So I thought, well, that's the way we'll walk home. Not supposed to go that way, but that's the way we'll walk home. But Bernhard said, let's go down River Street Hill, and we'll go down by the railroad tracks. Okay. So I'm in about the 3rd grade. We go down the hill. We get to the bottom. The railroad tracks are across the road. So we went over there, and we walked up and down, and we hopped over the beams, and we had a really great time. And he said, well, we got to get going. So he said, I know a shortcut. Great. He says, we'll just climb down this little hill, and there's a little brook there. And being that it was so cold out, it was all iced over, so we decided that's the way we would walk. Well, it wasn't really a deep, deep brook, if I remember it. You know, at that time, it seemed like it was probably 8 to 10 feet, but it was probably maybe 3 feet deep. But at that time, I was little, so. And we were walking on it, and a couple of places there had been some air pockets, so the ice crackled and crunched, just like cellophane, and crunched, and it was really neat. And we walked very gingerly, and all of a sudden it made a really loud cracking noise, and down I went. Bernhard was standing there, and I was in the water to here. So I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get out because it was right around me, so Bernhard helped me get out. Well, now I'm soaking wet from the waist down. I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be on the main road going home. I have no idea what time it is now because we've already swung on the rope swing. We've gone up and down the railroad tracks. So I decided I'll just walk around for a little while. I'll surely dry off. That didn't happen. Ice was forming on my pants. My little legs were getting stiff. And Bernhard went home. He lived down there. He had to get home for supper. So I walked up and down another hill, Ferry Street Hill, which went up this way and down this way. And I still wasn't. My legs were starting to burn and my feet were wet. And I said, I better head on home. Now it's starting to get dark. Now my biggest fear is not that I'm wet, but what's going to happen to me when I get home. You can't turn back time. There's nothing you can do. So I started down the main street, and here come a couple of headlights. There wasn't that many cars back then. And over pulled the car, and my father said, get in the car. So I did. Now, my parents were very good about, being happy that you were safe. But he wasn't saying anything. And that kind of scared me because my father always had a joke to tell or ha-ha. He didn't even ask me where I was. He just said, get in the car. We rode home in silence. I went in the house. My mother drew a bath. Where the hell you been? So I told her, you weren't supposed to go there. Now get in the tub. So I got in the tub, and I bathed, and came out in my pajamas, and I sat at the kitchen table and probably ate something I hated just because I wanted to eat every bite so I wouldn't get in trouble. And back then, my favorite show was Batman. And Batman was on, and they said, that's it. You have to go to bed now after supper. I said, I can't go to bed after supper. I won't get to see Batman. Everyone will be talking about Batman and what happened. But I still had to go to bed. And what I learned from that is, several years later, when I was all grown up with a couple of friends skating on Glen Lake, that I can run faster than anybody in a pair of ice skates when I hear that crackling noise under that ice.